welcome to the Autograph University Masterclass. I'm Matt Raymond. This is the web show for autograph collectors where we bring in experts and industry insiders to help you improve your autograph collection and meet celebrities. We have an excellent first episode. Keith Russo is an LA-based grapher. He's also spent a lot of time graphing in New York. His list of successes is a who's who of A-list celebrities, music, sports. Hope you got a pen and pad. We're going to learn a lot today. So, Keith, thank you for joining us and dropping some knowledge. I know we're going to learn a lot from you today.
No, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, I discovered you, got into what you were doing through the sportsgraphing.com message board, which, if you're listening or watching and you haven't checked it out, I think it's a great community. I think it's like $15 to join, and I know I get a lot out of it just kind of seeing who's signing and what's going on. For everybody, can you kind of talk about kind of how you got into autograph collecting? Why are you so passionate about the hobby?
I got into it, probably say the first autograph I ever got was going to Yankee games. I grew up in New York, big Yankee fans. My mom would take me and my brothers to the games, and part of the whole ritual was getting there early and getting autographs out in the back of the stadium. So like Don Mattingly was my favorite player, Ron Guidry, this is around that era, Willie Randolph. So that's how it started, and every time we'd go to a game, we'd hang out, get, nothing great. It would be like some old rubber ball signed or a piece of paper, but it was part of the routine. So I grew up with that, always having, let's get an autograph. You see somebody in the back of my head, because it was fun. And after the games, we do the same thing, and then got older, and I always, along the way, got autographs, but, as I got older and older and realized, wow, if I got an album or got a nice photo, this would look a lot better than a signature on a piece of paper. You still have the memory, but it started changing into, wow, this would be a nice piece, or, this would look good on a wall. So it progressed from pieces of paper or a ticket stub to 11 by 14s, jerseys and records. But I love music. I do a lot of music as a fan. I worked in music clubs in LA just so I could see bands for free, get paid for it. And, as working there, they'd ask you to get something signed for the club, and then you just start putting your own item in, and it became easy. And then the hobby grew, and it was built in while I was working there for a few years. And then your items, your inventory, if you want to call it, grows, and the amount of room it takes up grows, and then you have storage units, and then it just, becomes...
Yeah, totally. Yeah, a similar story on my end, growing up in, going to the ballpark or the arena, and actually... my senior year in high school, I was working at the Worcester Centrum, which was the arena in Central Mass, and I was always checking. Similar to you, going to work for a club, I was doing an internship at the arena and meeting the bands backstage or like the wrestlers or whatever.
Right.
And that definitely, I think bridged that gap between like being a kid and then when I moved to Boston and kind of discovered like, we can go to a hotel and it's so much different, the access you can get to, musicians, people go to the ballpark, but then, there's this whole nother world of, in-person graphing at these
that's a big
different
step.
Venues. So I want to, you're from New York, but now you're based in LA. So, one of the questions that, I get from readers and something they want to see is kind of like what the culture is regionally. Like I know Boston, certainly doesn't seem like a huge community, and it's growing as we're getting more films and things like that. We have the four major sports, but it's not like the hubs of New York or LA. So you have that, I think a unique experience to have, experience in both areas. So could you talk about kind of graphing in New York? I've only heard kind of like the crazy stories.
New York is crazy.
Opening up all the gates of the zoo and the wild animals come rushing out.
That's kind of what it's like. I mean, I go back and visit family there. I never was into it as much as I am now while I lived in New York. So when I go back to visit family and something's in town or I go for something, like Billy Joe Armstrong had his musical on Broadway, and I happened to be in town and went down for that, and it was just a nightmare. It was guys climbing over backs, literally, like 4 or 5 high, which is like I'm looking at the other side because there's barriers, and it's like, how are they even doing that? And it's really not like that out here as much. Stuff happens, Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney, stuff happens like that, but Billy Joe, Al Pacino, when he did Broadway, he just did it again, but I wasn't there for that. This is a couple of years ago. But in LA, it's a little more reserved. It's kind of like separate cliques. You have the sports guys, you have the music guys, you have the actor and actress types. Few people do everything. You have the people that just do the TV shows that wait outside Leno and Kimmel. So it's you meet everyone. You go to a premiere here or there, and you see everybody.
Would you classify yourself as one of those guys that does everything and kind of touches all those different?
Every now and then, mostly music.
Yeah.
Sports, I tend to go mostly for Yankees, but unless I'm at spring training doing everything, or it's a real big name. Mostly, I touch everything, but mostly music if I can. Mostly music.
So one of the questions I get, kind of touching on like the different cliques, and obviously, this hobby is competitive. I tend to think, I'm not a person that, sells. I just collect for myself. And my thought or my hope is that there's room for everybody that, legitimately wants to get some enjoyment out of the hobby. I know that's challenging for some people, especially in the markets that, you graph in, because there's a lot of competition. So I get the question a lot, like, Matt, how do I, find out about things? How do I kind of network and build the community? And my advice is usually, there's certain things that you can find out. They're, scheduled. There are book signings. There are movie premieres. There are things like, go to those, check them out, start, talking to people, build relationships. Obviously, you can't walk up to someone and be like, which hotel is this person? That's not, even your best friend may not tell you that kind of information, but, I think there are a lot of easy things you can do to go out and just start kind of building that rapport with other people. Because I think, at least in Boston, I think in general people are willing to help once they know that you're actually going to make a commitment and you're like in there for a long, kind of like the long haul, and they'll see your face again. So maybe, I don't know if you have kind of different...
A lot of things just went through my head as you were saying that. It was like, to start off, book signings, all that. It's mingling. It's much like, the job, start talking to people, asking around. People need to trust you, but even if they do, like, there's situations where, say the new guy in town and is trying to find stuff out, somebody may trust him, bring him into something. Next thing you know, he shows up with like 4 helpers.
Right, yeah.
And then it's, then the other guys in town are looking at you, why are you bringing this guy in? Now he's got 6 people here. Now he's getting 5 times the amount of stuff you're getting. It's just the whole, it's stupid, but this is what's important, because you have some people out here that do this for a living in LA.
Sure.
A lot of people, actually. And they see competition as somebody taking food off their table. I mean, this is a hobby for me. That's how it started out. I have a regular job that pays my bills. I do make now income from this because we can get to that. I've gotten so much stuff that you can't keep it all. You just can't. But if you're bringing people in, a lot of the guys out here don't want to help out. They'll be nice to you sometimes. Sometimes you all stand there and, nobody says a word to each other, or the guys that know each other talk, and then there's the guy on the outside trying to listen in. Where are they going next? It's a game, but if you're, like you said, if you're in it to win it and you keep showing up and keep showing up, it's bound to, I remember when I've been out here 15 years, I was not heavy into this. As I moved out here in 97, started working in music clubs around 2000, 2001 for a few years. Then after that, little by little by little, gradually it got bigger and bigger. And when I was the new guy, nobody wants to help you. Nobody. You could be the nicest guy in the world, but it's all competition. It's very hard to have autograph acquaintances or friends that you call real friends in the same city, I'll say, because it's this game, and you'll be somewhere, and then one guy will disappear, and he doesn't want to tell you where he's going because he's got a tip on something. And I think if people, you could be friends, but you just have to be honest with each other. A lot of guys don't want to be honest. They want to keep it secret. Instead of saying, look, I can't tell you I'm going to do this, that's fine with me. I'd rather the honesty, tell me, hey, I can't tell you, but this is what I'm doing. Then you come back and then start talking to me, and like somebody's like, oh, blah, 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 just got blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you told me you're going to McDonald's. Like, so it's all silly, and, everybody has their reason for what they're doing. But as far as being a new guy, in a place like LA, you can drive around at night, and there's so many paparazzi here that there's only so many hotels and stuff that people stay at. You'll see the crowds.
Yeah.
And there's things going on in this city every day. There's TV shows. There's TV shows which you can just go stand there, and people come over to you. You want to meet you, they take a picture with you. There's a ton of stuff to do in LA if you want to just go meet people and grow your collection.
I know there's some grapher in Nebraska watching this right now just slamming his hand against his keyboard. It seems like you can just throw a Sharpie and hit a celebrity in LA.
No, I know, and I think people hold that against. Going back to the site, people hold it against me that I live in a city where there's a lot of stuff to do. Like it's my fault, that I'm seeing people all the time. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to read about all that stuff. Like I said, I mean, Boston's been getting better, but certainly not the volume, of stuff you see out there. So you talked about, if my math is right, you're doing this like 16 years or something, 97. So you have a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't even been doing that long, but I'm, getting to a point where my wife is like, hey, we need that drawer for baby clothes now. Can you get like your mini basketballs out of it?
Yeah.
And kind of my resolution last year was to kind of be quality over quantity. And it's like, maybe I don't need my 8th Kevin Durant sign. Oh, that's a bad example because whether it's 10 or 20.
He's going to stop signing soon. He's going to stop soon. He's getting tougher.
Yeah, he's slowing down.
He is. They're getting in his ears. What's happening?
But maybe I don't need the 7th through 12th guy on the basketball team, or I typically only get one of each. When I graph, but it definitely has made me rethink like how I prioritize when I go out, and it kind of goes back to like just kind of balancing this hobby with family and friends and spending time. I think that especially in a high traffic place where you have so many opportunities. Talk about kind of like how you've started to prioritize, how you decide, okay, this is worth my time now to go and do something, because you, like you said, you could be out every single night doing something like this.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do I first? It has to be like if I'm in the mood. I guess that's the first thing. I could plan something and then wake up and just be like, I don't feel like it. So if I'm in the mood, I want to go somewhere where I, at this point, have a good chance of success. I don't want to go where there's going to be 1 million people or a crowd. I don't care, how, almost, I'll say don't care how big of a person it is. If it's Paul McCartney, it's one thing because, that's a big name. Probably the biggest name. But if it's going to be an overcrowded place, I don't like that. Me personally, I don't enjoy premieres. I've been to a few, but I don't enjoy that much of that either. I want to go somewhere where it's somebody I personally want or am a fan of, somebody that I know has a likelihood of signing, somebody I know if I invest in something that I'm not going to have to return it or be stuck with it. So those are all things I consider. How they've been in the past, if I've had any interaction with them, if I have them in my collection yet, how the venue is or wherever I'll be going to get it. All those types of things go into it. But the main thing is I want it to be somebody that I know signs or has a likelihood that they're going to talk to their fans or sign for their fans at least a little bit, so there's a chance. I don't like getting shut out, as nobody probably does. But more importantly, I don't like going somewhere where it's somebody that just doesn't sign. And hey, they might this time, but the likelihood is they're not going to. So why, there's so much stuff going on. This is a hobby. First priority is not selling. So I want to go somewhere where I'll have a good time and get something and come home happy, pretty much.
So, what advice would you give to a novice autograph collector? Just looking back, when you started in '97, like what would you be doing differently? Would it be that kind of prioritization or something different?
Well, I would start with things that I can preserve or that would look nice 10, 20 years from now. So when I was younger, if I started off that way, I'd have nicer things.
The same exact way.
So
like
I'd start
my quality of items the first 2 or 3 years was just total crap. I'm looking right now at a whole row of baseballs, like on those like plastic China balls, because I was like, hey, they're only $3.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at like
Right. And now
Reggie
they're
Jackson,
faded
Dustin
and
Pedroia, which in a year may not even exist because they'll totally fade off the ball.
right. Same way. Yeah, it made me think of an old rubber ball that had like Chet Lemon on and some Tigers Trammell and them after a Yankee game one day. But I have it in a closet somewhere still, and you can bear. Phil Niekro is on the same ball, Hall of Famer now, and oh well, what are you going to do? But I would say, invest in something and go for somebody that you're a fan of. If you're just starting, do stuff you want to do. Don't go hanging out somewhere for no reason, just to whatever. Right. Start off with things you want to do. Learn people's habits. Go to the ballpark. Dodger Stadium, guys come over and sign all the time. It might not be who you want, but if you keep going, eventually you're going to get who you want. Dodger Stadium, you also learn which route the celebrities go. There's things to know about Dodger Stadium. Once you know that, I didn't know it at one time. Others didn't know it. You go there a few times, you talk to people, you ask around, and you learn, and you make a little note of it, a mental note, a written note, and you keep. The more you do it, the more you're going to learn, and your collection will grow, and it's fun. This is what we people do. So I'd say start out like that. Do things you want to do. Go to games. Go to events. Different things like that. It's getting harder though. It's getting harder. There's like Staples Center. You can't really get anything unless you're in a certain section. They check your ticket stub. It used to not be that way. So with the times, with everything that happens in arenas now and security, it does get harder. But there is things to do and places to go and people to see where it's still pretty easy. There's venues that are very easy, and if somebody likes playing there, you can pretty much go and they're going to walk right into you if you want to meet that person or say hi or tell them what they mean to you or just get an autograph or a photo. So, and it just takes a little time. There's at most 10 music venues in a city, maybe. Some maybe 3. In LA, there's probably more, but there's the main ones. You take a day and you go to them and you look at the backstage and you know which ones look easy and which ones don't look easy. And then you see who's playing there and you go and do what you want, see what you can do. Or you just go one time and see how it is one day. Maybe you get shut out, maybe you don't, but then you learn for the future. So it's just a time progression and learning things and putting an effort into it. And that way, when you're putting the effort, at least if you're getting people you want to get, not just that you want to sell, it'll mean more. You'll have something to show for it. You'll be happy. You can show your friends, oh, this is blah, blah, blah. This is my Derek Jeter signed jersey, blah, blah, blah. So, I would just say start off like that, and then hopefully it doesn't get too out of hand.
Keith, I don't want you to disclose, secret contacts or hotel info or any stuff like that, but can you talk about, where you get information just about, events that are going on? How do you keep track? Do you kind of have an events calendar that you keep? I know for myself, I just kind of create a calendar over the next, 3 months or 6 months and just kind of put in things that I find, oh, there's going to be a film starting to shoot here, or there's a book signing come up, just so I can kind of keep track. Can you talk about kind of generally the sources that you kind of check on a regular basis, and then how you keep track of that kind of stuff?
Well, there's I'm pretty much the same way with the calendar. Somehow things just seem to cross your path, and you write it down on a calendar. Like you'll be reading a newspaper. I would read a lot of newspapers, a lot of local newspapers. Like the LA Weekly here is a local thing. You got to look at the fine print for signings and appearances and store openings. Those things pop up. They're all over the place. There's Twitter. If you're handy with Twitter, you take an hour or 20 minutes, and if it's somebody you like in particular, you just type a name in and signing, or just type in signings, Los Angeles, wherever, things pop up.
That's excellent. Like I totally agree on Twitter. Like if you're a grapher and you're not on Twitter and you don't have you haven't created a Twitter list, and there's a post on Autograph U, just search Twitter list about. There are two lists I think you have to create. One is the people who are always in your town. So if you're in Boston, create a list of local Boston sports and celebrity people, and just have that open. And then your second list is kind of your visiting team list. It's like someone's in for a movie shoot, someone's in playing a game, someone's doing a book signing, whatever. Like to me, Twitter has been like
it's huge,
an amazing tool for people in our hobby.
And some people like telling you where they're going, and I think
celebrities in real time telling you exactly where they are. What's
exactly
better?
Where they are. Right. So I mean, if you just had Twitter, you can do things, and you had a car, you can do things and be anywhere. So I'd say read a lot, go online and just type in your city and a date and say celebrity event, or appearing or appearance. Just be creative. If you want to find things, there's things. Then make note, if there's an award ceremony in your city, there's going to be another one next year, and be on the lookout for it. If there's a conference in your city every year, like they have the Health Expo here every year, they're going to have it again next year in the same third weekend of January or February, whenever it is.
Absolutely.
So, and then just keep making notes and being on the lookout for, like, the animation awards are in LA every year. Just happened again. So it's just knowing your city, getting to know what events are hosted in your town, and remembering them. Putting them on the calendar, knowing next month blah 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 is going to be here. The Sports Writers Awards were just here. The not the Sports Writers, but the minor league. It doesn't matter, but they just had another. It happens here every year, so you just have to be aware. You just have to be aware and keep your eyes and ears open, and you'll know. You just find things out, and you can't hit everything. You're going to miss things, but there's always something else.
Just don't miss them twice.
That's the rule. Right. Once, shame on you. No, blah blah blah.
Yeah. So I just have a couple more questions. I know we're getting short on time here, but I want to go back. You had mentioned spring training, and before we start recording, you had mentioned you're not going to go down this year, but you've been down. And it's a time of year where I think that some collectors are thinking about making that trip. I've never been down, and I know when I think about it, it just seems like this enormous. It's like trying to schedule like one of those like 2-week exotic vacations. Just like where do I even start? Where should I go? When should I be at all these places?
Right.
I know it could be kind of a whole show in itself is talking about spring training, but can you talk about just kind of like general strategy, like what advice you'd give to someone who's like, I'd like to go down, catch some games, but be in a good position to, maybe get some autographs, during my trip there.
Be on the lines before and after the games, on the baselines. Number one, if you're going to be going to games, get a seat, pay the extra money, just in case they check your stub or whatever, but be in a good spot on the baselines. That's, if you're going to be going to the games. Guys are going to get mad talking about spring training because they think Phoenix is like this untapped resource compared to Florida. This is what you hear every year. Phoenix is getting worse. but it's really not getting worse. It's the players that are coming there. You had Darvish last year. You know, Greg Maddux was with Texas now. It's people are going to come to get who they want, and the players that are there. Like this year, for instance, I don't think I'm going. It could be a last minute thing because I'm having surgery at the end of the month, but so I would have to go before the games, which is fine. But like if I went there, the Angels is just going to be a madhouse. Trout, Pujols, and now Hamilton there. Hamilton's great, one of the nicest, as we all know, one of the nicest guys, genuine person. So he's going to do it, but you're going to be in a crowd of people.
It goes back to what you said earlier about like being smarter about if that's your favorite team,
then that's for you.
Get
Absolutely.
a step ladder and try to get it. But
right.
if you're if you really want
it's
to
going to be like
graph, maybe take a look at a second.
Yeah, look at Kansas City. Kansas City, you got Hosmer, you got Moustakas there now. These are guys that are all going to be stars of the future. And it's a camp where there's, they're an up-and-coming team. They're getting better. But there's going to be a lot less people there. A lot less.
The easiest way to get a superstar's autograph is to get it before they become a superstar.
Yeah. Exactly. Invest, buy a dozen that are prospects, right now, but real good prospects. And get them all signed, go to, well, I don't know if you want to go to the Padres, but if you do, you can pretty much get whoever you want there.
Maybe just bring photos for the Padres.
Yeah. Get a team logo. But it's all about what you want. Like last year, Texas was a madhouse. Texas a few years ago was awesome. Texas is one of those facilities where the guys are working out. There's a string there, and right next to it, they're all working out. You can almost jump over there and start doing calisthenics with them. And it was just awesome. Then they went to the World Series, and then they went to the World Series again. And, Hamilton became a star, Nelson Cruz, all these guys blow up. Andrus is there. Greg Maddux was coaching, or was there. Nolan Ryan's down there in spring training. So and Darvish come in was just the capper. So even if you went last year, but you didn't stay near Darvish, you still did well around the facility. If you were trying for you might have gotten him, but you were going to stay with you for the whole time. So it's just like that. That's how the Angels are going to. The Angels, good and bad. I didn't go much last year with Pujols there. I just try and stay away. The Dodgers this year, forget about it. Dodgers is a great facility. A lot of guys signed there, but now I just imagine it's going to be from day one a madhouse. And Sandy Koufax is going to be there. So that's just like a steer clear type of thing. But if that's your team, you're going to have a great time there. You're going to get guys, Ethier, Kemp, Adrian Gonzalez, Crawford, Mattingly, McGuire, Koufax. It's like you could just go there every day, and it's an all-star team. The new guy that they just got from Asia, Greinke, well, good luck with him, but
don't count on Greinke and Beckett.
No, exactly. But it's a great, if you're a baseball fan, first and foremost, spring training is a great time.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what you're saying is, go for people you like. Remember it's, it's a hobby first for most of us. I think most of the people watching this, listening to this, they're just in it for the love of whatever they're doing, and they just want that kind of experience. So,
my main thing going to Phoenix every year is to get all the ex-Yankees that are now on other teams. Like this year, Swisher's going to be out there with Cleveland, and there's a bunch of others. Ibanez, I believe, is going to be out there, and I have my little list somewhere. But all the off-season transactions, I have my Yankee jersey that I get signed, and I go out there with my number one thing, trying to find the ex-Yankees, because you go to Tampa, you're not getting anybody. When they're with the Yankees, they're very hard. When they're not with the Yankees, you can pick them up pretty easy. So that's my thing. That's why I go to Phoenix, to try and pick up the ex-Yankees, being a fan. And then, I get other things, obviously, while I'm going to be there. But my main focus is adding to my Yankee jersey.
So really briefly,
that's
tell
what
us
I got
about that. It's amazing. Even though I'm a Boston guy, it's an amazing item. You going to show it to us?
Let me see if... let me see if this is it. If it's not, I grabbed the wrong thing. But I started out. It's happened from going to spring training, and I'd see all these ex-Yankees lower guys, and I had nothing for them. You know, and being a fan, I'm like, they were on the Yankees. I should be getting them on something. So I got a jersey, a blank Yankee road jersey. I hope this is it. Well, it's not, but this is a good one. One year, there was Andy Fox, Andy Stankiewicz, and Scott Sanderson were doing a signing with a bunch of other guys. Those were the other three ex-Yankees, and I put them on this jersey, and it started it off, and I figured if I see anybody that plays for the Yankees, as long as they played a game, I'll put them on the jersey. I've since gotten, like, Jeter, Reggie Jackson, Mariano, Cano, Mattingly, Torrey, Bob Turley, Jerry Coleman.
And I can appreciate
Just a whole, like, everyone and anyone. People are like, why'd you put Andy Fox and Andy Stankiewicz on? I'm like, well, they played for the Yankees. I don't care.
Yeah.
I met Austin Jackson once, and I couldn't put him on because, as big as a prospect as he was, he nenever actually played an inning for the Yankees and was traded before he did, so I couldn't put him on. But, like, Ian Kennedy's on there, and Abuladejo, and the catcher prospect Montero went to Seattle last year, went and got him on there. So, anyway, I'll just show you this since I picked it up. There's another thing I'm working on. This is, see, Dwight Gooden, I think, is there. Who's that? Is that Larson? And then Cone. So I'm gonna try and put David Wells, Jim Abbott, and there might be one other no-hitter or perfect game by the Yankees on that one. And, well, since it's here, real quick, I had that jersey, and over the years, there's about 130-something on there now.
Wow.
And then I started seeing the same guys again, so I started another jersey. And I don't know if this one, I think, has about 60 or 70 on it. So anyway, I grabbed the wrong bag. Sorry about that. But on my Yankees jersey on Twitter, you can see the jersey. But yeah.
So I have an admission that, despite being born and raised in Massachusetts and a Red Sox fan and a Yankee disliker, I do own a Yankees jersey, and my most treasured autograph is of a former Yankee.
Really?
And it is my great grandfather, Eddie Doc Farrell, who won a World Series with the 1932 Yankees.
Oh, wow.
With Ruth and Gehrig.
Oh.
So, although he did end his career with the Red Sox for like 5 games in 1935. He started with the New York Giants, but yeah, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to think, maybe like 10 years ago, a bunch of buddies for like Christmas bought me a Yankee jersey, and he was number 22, so it does look like I have a Clemens jersey or whoever has recently been 22, but they did add the name, even though it's like not authentic that they'd actually have the name on the back. So
right.
So that's pretty cool. So I do have kind of a secret stash of Yankee memorabilia for my great grandfather.
Very nice.
So that's very cool.
I do have a Schilling autograph ball, as much as I hate him.
Oh, there you go.
Can't believe I admitted that.
So last question for you is, you've been teaching us a lot and giving us insight and tips, and I know that everyone who's tuned in is benefiting from it. Like, what are you looking to improve in 2013? Even though like you're experienced and you're just racking up like monster stuff, what can you still improve? Like, who's on your target list this year that you don't have yet? Like, what are the goals for 2013? If there's like a resolution that you have, a graphing resolution.
Adding more names to that Yankee jersey, ones that I don't have, like Whitey Ford and Yogi Berra are not on my jersey. Whitey signs, they're both over 80 now. I tried to get Yogi. I haven't paid for anybody on that jersey.
Oh, wow.
130-something names, not one has been paid for. And I bought a Ron Bloomberg book a day that he signed. So I bought the book, but then he signed the jersey for free. But anyway, I want to add first Whitey and Yogi to that. I tried to get Yogi, and he canceled the signing about a year ago or so. I was going to pay. I paid for it and got a refund. So that's number one. I would like to get them on there, and hope I'm able to. After that, I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan. So he came to LA and didn't sign. Every other city he did, pretty much when he left. LA gave no love, of course. That's the other thing about LA. People think everybody here in LA is selling and don't want to sign the big name sometimes.
Yeah.
So we got screwed out of him signing here that way.
Have you ever got him?
I have. I've gotten 3. I have 3 Springsteens.
Well, if you don't have 4, you have 0, basically.
But I'm a huge. He's my number one. I've seen like 50, 60 shows. Blah 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 blah. So anytime I could try and add a Springsteen, yes. Who else? Mostly like Yankee stuff that I like Yankee stuff. But those are the big. Springsteen's my main one. The Yogi and the Whitey and any other Yankees that haven't signed that jersey, and now this one. Those are the things I care the most about. Sandy Koufax would be nice. I have 2 though. I actually have a Mickey Mantle, which is nice. On a 5x7, met him in the '80s at the Staten Island Mall. He did a signing. We still have that. I'm looking. I have a couple of things over there, but mostly just Yankee stuff, and you know, like I used to get angry about stuff or mad, like let it affect me, like, oh, I didn't get this guy. But it's like,
Yeah, I've been
whatever. It's like they'll be back, and if they're not, they're not. And you know, when it all comes down to it, what does it really mean anyway?
Yeah,
but
that's a whole nother conversation that I struggle with.
There's no reason to get mad or whatever. Just there's somebody tomorrow, or there's somebody next week, and you can, you know, get your collection going again. But mostly just people I'm a fan of, like Bruce. Roger Waters, maybe. You know, I've still not gotten Roger Waters, which is he signs all the time. Everybody else has gotten him, but he's just. I've tried once or twice. It was bad. It was a bad day. Didn't happen. So maybe him, even though he's probably not touring now like he was last year. But like trying to think on the fly here. Pearl Jam, big Pearl Jam fan. Eddie Vedder. If I could add Eddie, I have a few, but
he's your missing guy on a ton of pieces, right?
A ton.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's a oneer, so but I'd be happy with 1. And you know, just I have a 10 that just need a 10 vinyl, their first album, that just needs him. So that's like that might be my number 1 piece right now. I'd like to complete that way I can put it up, frame it. So yeah. Those are the ones that would come to mind that I would hope to get, along with the older ex-Yankees that are getting tougher to get. So,
Great.
Go with those.
That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 1 of the Autograph University Masterclass. Huge thanks to Keith Russo for kicking off the series. Great guest, fantastic information. You can check him out on Twitter, actually in 2 places, at My Yankees Jersey, where he posts updates on the autographs he's added to his Yankees Jersey project he mentioned on the show today, and at Rock Stuff with 3 F's, ROCKSTUFFF. If you enjoyed the show, definitely head on over there and let him know. Check out Autograph University at autographu.com. Sign up for our newsletter, autographu.com/newsletter. For tips, stories, updates, you'll never miss an episode of the Masterclass. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, be well and let the ink flow.